for illumined life to be birthed into form. I am the truth. I am the light. Illumine, beloved divine.
So hello there everyone, and welcome to this video with me here today, in which I want to share a beautiful experience with you all. So we were just meditating today, and it's right after this beautiful big eclipse that we just had, which was a tremendously challenging experience as well. And I don't want to go too deeply into it, but we wanted to sit with the essence of the Christ. And so usually what happens for me, I'm noticing that each weekend is a major threshold, that the barrier between the light and the dark is being sort of like uplifted and evened out in a way. So for me, what I'm experiencing for the past year or so is that it's almost like there are gateways hidden within these experiences that are not often pleasant, but it's actually these experiences that would like lift us up and take us to the next level of the experience. So I've been recently talking about this a lot on Patreon, because mostly now I'm focusing on this experience of the Christ and what we're experiencing as our inner child is being birthed in a completely new stage, and the illumination of the human being as the new humans. So I'm talking a lot about that, and it's almost like there is an upsurgence of light, and a new revelation comes, and then there's a downpour, and again we're being focused and zoomed into the work needing to be done on the inner child. So when you're in their child processing, it's when the light of the Christ is sort of coming in, and it's working for the absolution of the experience so that it can become illumined. If you've ever read the story of Sanat Kumara, there's this tiny little booklet. I've shared about it before a couple of years back. And there's like this story how before he first ascended, well, after he already ascended, then he needed to create these lifetimes. And through these lifetimes, he would lift every one of these human experiences, but it wasn't here on earth. But he needed to raise that experience into the collective field, and eventually that brought forth a greater sense of this collective consciousness, which was just a setting stage for his further evolution, training, and mastery. So what I experienced today in this next threshold was a beautiful revelation of this cosmic Christ presence, and it was just like an instant entrance through a doorway. So we meditated together, and we both just invited the essence of the Christ. But what I was guided to do first was sort of create an intention to raise the frequency, to raise the vibration, not just letting that come to you as we're usually doing when we're asking for guidance, but ourselves being raised up to the level of that which we call the cosmic Christ presence, and then making the intention that a life force used within the body that operates and flows through the body sort of has an opening, has an open space to travel and to reach that state of consciousness. And when I did that exercise, almost instantly I felt like this opening. So I found myself in this space, and I'm not a visual person, I'm a clear knowing person. So I just know when the knowing comes or is presented to me through spirit initiation, it's instant. And when I'm in the energy, I'm already in the presence of that consciousness. I'm just in it, and I can just instantly know everything about that, what's to know on that aspect of life that I'm witnessing or holding the presence with in that co-creative space. So there was like a doorway that was open, and instantly I started hearing these almost like incantations. If you would imagine here on earth something similar being the group of Tibetan masters who are just doing their invocations and incantations that sort of become almost like a song. And I started hearing these divination words or praisals that were like higher essence of thoughts. They were just purity of thoughts. And it was almost like a group. It was like singing, and there was many voices, and it wasn't like a presence of beings. You would say, well, that's the realm of these beings, and that's what they do. It was just so pure. It was just a presence of divine word. And as I was witnessing and watching that, then I later exited or withdrew myself from the consciousness so I could experience it outside of it, like from my earthly human self. And then we further asked the presence of Jesus Christ to sort of elaborate further on what we just witnessed. And he told us that, yes, even before we started the meditation, we got this revelation that today is a very much an open doorway day. It's a kind of an open doorway that you experience, when you're going for college, and there's one day a year or several of those days when you have an open door policy, and you can visit any college you want. So it's like there was a presentation of this entrance that also corresponded with a specific day that is today. It was another gateway, and once you're able to witness this, you're not just thinking about this, or you're learning about it from books. When I have an experience, it's a little felt experience, either in meditation or any kind of work you're doing intentionally with the purity of your presence. So I'm also noticing that lately there's not so much meditation needed, because the work of the cosmic Christ in my own work has been so established that all I need is just to pass the next level of the barrier. And that's what we're doing in this work of cosmic Christ embodiment. We're working through the dark to cross many thresholds that there were holding certain barriers between this world and other worlds, and this reality and many facets of life that we think they're real, that exist in this reality, and true doorways being open to furthering of what truly is the cosmic presence of reality. So this new doorway opens up this space of having a direct experience with it. So you don't have to die and have that experience, but you're literally in your conscious state. And it wasn't for me a long meditation. I just used that simple intent, and it was there. And I was witnessing, and I was like, what is this? I heard these beautiful sentences, and one of the sentences that was like resounding was something how it's written in thy name, and how thy name will never be forsaken. It was the Lord, thy name is I am, the Lord, the name's I am. It's like all of these things I was hearing simultaneously. It was beautiful, like song. It was like there were incantations but woven into a song, and it was like a choir. And then we asked further, and I sort of had this crystal clear knowing that this is actually this space. I almost saw a book with golden letters. It said the Holy Bible, but it wasn't the Bible that's a physical that we now have translated into our human realm and many times edited. And it's, what came out after eons of time is not the purest version of it, as you well know. There are many editions, and what, human translators and different sort of prophets and beings, and then, also what they wanted to put in it. It's not a direct reflection, but this was revealed to me. It's like this cosmic Bible that is the space of divinity that we know as the Father aspect of creation, which is pure thought. So later, when I was witnessing this even more, I was shown this pure thought, which is a divine Father aspect of Source. Then it was love, which is a divine Mother aspect of Source, and then pure consciousness, which is what we call the divine child. And when you have consciousness created, you have beings and types of beings, and light beings, and then angelics, and different variations of what then becomes an experience of life. So it was like witnessing this primordial sense of what this highest holy incantation of life is, and how it's just this song, and how in this space, this what we call the Father aspect of God knows our every single thought. So when we think in terms of how to pray, and we're always thinking, well, we need to pray so hard because otherwise I'm not going to be heard. It was like very much the witnessing of whatever you say, whatever you think is instantly traveling on this frequency band that sometimes we see as orbs of light, or the angelics carrying those. And it's even, in many literatures or stories of how this is done, right? So the angels take up our prayers up to the Godhead, but it's literally just a vibrational transmission that's so organic, and how things function and work together. And in that space, it's like just thinking of something and thinking it through the purity of the divinity of what is the natural state. Once you know this holy word within, once you truly know what the Christ presence is like you're attuned to it. And once you become attuned to this cosmic Christ principle, which is just universal, then you're naturally attuned to this. And probably that's what the gate has opened for me. It's like trying to tell me I'm now fully one with this space. I don't have to work hard for it. I'm just, when you unify through Christ with that space, with that presence, it's like you're a narrative that's held within it. That's why I think one of the things that I kept hearing was, thou name shall never be forsaken and used in vain. It's like just our name, right, implies that the source knows who we are. We are a source. It's our creator. It's where we come from. It's, where we were first birthed into the essence. And a name, that resounding I am, each in this individualized song and how it's woven into life, each one like sung just a little differently, presents the differentials that make us so unique. So in that space, it was like this beautiful envisioning. It's almost like entering the doorway of divine thought, this purest thought, and in this case, I didn't see these thoughts being beings yet. It's like a space where, when you can just say the cosmic Bible, right? When it's like these truths, these cosmic truths are just there, and they're just interwoven, and it's all just being like constantly resounded. Like, that's what probably these Tibetan monks are, they're kind of like trying to resemble that or mimic that. And the many words I was shown and revealed that instantly. It was like an instant knowing that the first rendition of the Bible, which wasn't even a rendition, it was just like when it was first written, it wasn't written in one form or one format. As you know, there were several beings and prophets who probably attuned to that level, who were like divine messengers in a way. They probably heard those things as revelations, and so they were writing them down, and each in their own way, and then trying to assimilate in the earthly sense what's the meaning, and eventually they became one book. But then that book, as you know, became many versions of it and many renditions and many, whatever we make of it as humans. But the holiest aspect is this cosmic Bible within, which is the aspect of why probably it's called the Father. And even in the Bible, it's all about the Father. We don't hear so much about the Divine Mother. It's because the Divine Father aspect of Source is that purest thought, and it's how things function, and it's the structural law behind everything, which, as you know, law creates resonance. And it's through this resonance that things come into being in a certain way, and why we are the way we are, why experiences are the way they need to be. And it's just like all resounding together in this ebb and flow of life. But I think there was just this one tiny doorway, but it opened an access to this state of being, which is before even we become beings. It's just these purest thoughts, just this cosmic law. And then when it's resounding, it eventually certain aspects of coming together form in the Trinity, right, with the absolution of melding with this love aspect, they become consciousness, and then consciousness starts to birth life. It's this triangle, right, of creation. It was so beautiful. So I wanted to share this with you because, as you know, this year I will be probably talking more about the nature of cosmic Christ. This is where my path has been leading me for a long time now. And this shift from last year to this year has been a huge revelation to me as well, and knowing my path and why I'm here, and everything I share comes first through inner exploration, the inner initiation experience, and then I pass it on as just a witness, as a demonstration, and as simple as it is. So more in depth, many things I've talked about in terms of going much deeper, I do in my work called Ascension, as you already know, and it's shared on Patreon. You can always become a co-creator there, a member, whatever you call it, doesn't matter. So I'll talk to you soon, and until then, enjoy your space wherever you are. As always, so much love is in power. Bye-bye.
Come into my world, the world of the elven song, magical.